From the cringy MySpace profile to belting out your favorite boy band songs off-key, let's take a look at some of the awkward moments in the 2000s we wish we could erase. It's the 2000s, and you're so full of love with the occasional butterflies in your belly. So, what do you do with the overflowing affection? You create a sim version of your boyfriend or crush, because nothing says I'm head over heels for you than making a fictional depiction of them. Gotta channel that love somewhere. So there you are, adjusting every feature and praying that the final look would capture the essence of your partner. For some people, it works. For others, you get a reality check when your sim creation looks more like an art gone wrong. If we look past this hitch, we can find solace in the beautiful moments of creating the sim with your partner. The way their eyes light up as we plan our future career, build a mansion, and envision a marriage with 3 kids. It makes it all worth it. Turning off aging is a must, because the only ending in this love story is a happy one. The Sims remains forever iconic because for couples who are miles apart, they have the fictional characters to look at to lessen the heartaches. And for those with a crush, if we can't have them in real life, we might as well have a chance in the game. We probably stopped when we imagined the embarrassment we would feel if our crush found out about it. Another embarrassing thing you most probably did was going to chat rooms and pretending to be older than you were. Then we'd have a blast creating characters like Betty, a blonde, recently divorced hotshot lawyer. Those days, AIM and MSN were perfect for inventing elaborate personas and chatting with strangers about anything under the sun, even if it meant twisting the truth. Then came the awkward moment when someone suggested meeting in person. Suddenly, Betty's legal skills felt more like a problem than a charm. We had to scramble for excuses not to meet up or stop responding. Or those moments when we finally take the leap and hand out our phone number, but then the stranger actually calls, but our parents end up picking up. Talk about wanting to disappear. All that innocent deception could come crashing down with one chat leak, and you'd be left wishing you'd stuck to playing Sims instead. We would forever remember the good old days of online deception and the inevitable cringe-worthy moments that followed. If only we could go back and tell our younger selves that it's way cooler to be authentic than to pretend to be someone else. Can't get a read on whether your crush likes you? So you did what any teenager would do. Set up a fake profile to spy, casually check out, what they post online. Maybe it's because you're too shy to use your real account, or maybe because you want to snoop on the mean kid from school. Whatever the reason, we've all been there. The anxiety of accidentally liking an old picture or sending them a friend request by mistake. Your heart stops for a second, then races when they actually accept. Your emotions range from, oh no, I'm doomed, to, hey, because they replied with as much enthusiasm. While for your arch nemesis though, every photo gets analyzed, and you start throwing out every insult you feel they deserve. It's weirdly satisfying to dissect every awkward pose and make fun of their awful fashion choices. But let's face it, this game often led to embarrassment, like when you let something slip in a conversation or a tagged photo exposes your secret identity. Busted. Anyway, it's a hilarious reminder of the awkwardness of growing up with social media when everyone was still figuring out how to handle online antics. While the digital world proved to be complicated, we eased our mind by shopping at Abercrombie Fitch. The store smelled like a mix of cologne and dreams of being the most popular person in school. Then, we had saved up every dollar from odd jobs just so we could afford one of those iconic logo tees. Those items were basically just overpriced cotton, but hey, they had that big A&F across the chest, so it was totally worth it. And don't forget the hoodies. We'd buy them at the beginning of summer, then wear them every chance you got, even if it was sweltering outside, because, style. And those catalogs filled with impossibly fit models frolicking in the sun. You'd flip through them and think, yeah, if I wear this polo shirt and cargo shorts, I'll definitely look like that. You knew deep down it wasn't true, but it was nice to dream. Plus the iconic shopping bags. It didn't matter if it started to fall apart after a couple of weeks, you'd keep using it for your school books or whatever else just to show off that moose logo. Looking back, the obsession with Abercrombie & Fitch was both ridiculous and endearing. It was a time when we were all trying to figure out who we were, and if that meant splurging on a t-shirt that cost more than a week's allowance, so be it. After splurging, we turned to 17 magazine because we had few people we could confide in for dating advice. It was like having an adult look out for us in paper form, whispering secrets about love and guys. From the best tips on how to flirt without turning bright red, to cute date ideas that wouldn't break the bank, 17 had us covered. The beauty of 17 was that it didn't feel like it was written by people who had their lives together. It felt like a cool older sister, guiding us through the world of teenage romance with just the right mix of sass and wisdom. Unlike today's perfectly filtered influencers, the models in 17 looked like they could actually be in your math class, or at least your best friend's sibling. They weren't wearing designer brands you had to sell a kidney to afford. They wore actual clothes you could find at the mall. The smell of those magazines is forever burned into my memory. A mix of perfume samples and glossy paper. And who could forget the hair tutorials? They seemed so simple until you tried them and ended up with a nest of frizz. 17 made us feel like it was okay to be awkward. After all, even the advice columnists admitted to their own cringeworthy dating blunders. If they could survive it, so could we, right? Another thing we survived was creating cringy MySpace pages. Customizing your personal corner of the internet, complete with dramatic, over-the-top backgrounds, and a playlist that would make your teenage self look deep and edgy. Logging into MySpace now, you would be reminded of when Photoshop filters were mandatory, and every photo had to have some sort of glow effect. And let's not forget the epic page layouts. You'd end up with backgrounds so busy that it could trigger a migraine. But hey, if it didn't scream, "Look at me, I'm unique," did you even have a MySpace page? Then there were the cringeworthy names we used and messages you'd find in your inbox. Those awkward attempts at flirting, or the group invites to join some sketchy underground band's fan club. Or worse, the time you sent a friend request to a classmate you had a crush on, only to realize you accidentally sent it to your arch nemesis. MySpace was a place where cringe was the default setting, and the more dramatic you were, the better. Remember cranking up "I Want It That Way" on repeat, belting out every word while our parents shook their heads disapprovingly? I want it that way. It didn't matter if we couldn't sing. What mattered was our obsession with boy bands. Their baggy trousers, chains, and charming smiles drove every girl wild. Then it was the only fever worth catching. Those were the days of skipping meals and saving our allowances just to attend their concerts. We always knew the answer would be a disappointing no when we asked our parents if we could stake out the airport for a glimpse of our idols, and who could forget those embarrassingly heartfelt love letters we wrote in hopes of a reply. But